Hello students, in last class we already studied the combination of lenses, what are the equivalent focal length for the combination of lenses, what is the equivalent power for combination of lenses, and what is the equivalent magnification for combination of lenses. Clear? So we already studied what are lens and types of lens, what is the lens maker formula. Then we already discussed about the combination of lenses and calculate the equivalent focal length, power and magnification. So today we are going to discuss about another optical device which is known as a prism. So today we are going to discuss about prism. What is prism? It's a optical device which have at least two refracting surfaces which are not parallel to each other. Okay, so it's a optical device which have at least two refracting surfaces which are not parallel to each other. It may have more than two refracting surfaces, but at least two refracting surfaces which are not parallel to each other. That means we basically or generally show a prism like this. This is a triangular prism. Okay, or in 3 dimensional it will look like this. Okay, it's a prism which have many faces, but any two faces should be inclined with each other like this. Here these two faces, these two faces or these two faces are inclined to each other. So this is basically known as a prism. Okay. So any two device or any substance which have two inclined plane can behave as a prism. So a slab, if this is a glass slab, okay, so these two faces are parallel and these two faces are parallel, but if light travels from this face to this face along this direction, so these two faces are inclined surfaces. Similarly, if light travels from this face to this face, this is also inclined surface. If light travels from this face to this face, this is also inclined surface. So a glass slab can also behave as a prism. So prism is something which have at least two inclined refracting surface. Maybe more than that there will be present, but at least two inclined refracting surfaces, then that behaves as a prism. So a glass slab can also behave as a prism, and a lens can also behave as a prism, because in case of lens, these two refracting surfaces are inclined to each other, they are not parallel to each other. So this small portion can behave as a prism, this large portion can behave as a prism. So a glass lens can also behave as a prism, a glass slab can also behave as a prism, and this is the general diagram of a prism, which is generally known as a prism. So if this prism is break somewhere like this, but light can travel through this, then this is also a prism. Okay, clear? So prism is an optical device which have at least two refracting surfaces which are not parallel to each other. Clear? So any substance that have two non-parallel refracting surfaces at least can behave as a prism. Clear? But we generally deals with this one, which is known as a prism. Clear? So next we have to study that what is angle of prism. We basically deals with a equilateral triangular prism. So in case of this type of prism, which is a triangular prism, the angle of prism which is denoted by A is the angle between the surface on which light incident and the surface from which light emerges out. Okay, so angle of prism denoted by is the angle between the surface on which light is incident and the surface from which light is emerged out. That means if this is a prism, P, Q, R, light incident on this surface, this is the normal. So after refraction it will travel along this direction, this is the normal, it goes out. So PQ is the surface on which light is incident and PR is the surface from which light emerges out. So this angle is known as angle of prism. But it's not always this angle. If light incident along this axis and after refraction it travel along this and goes like this. So now this is the surface QR on which light is incident and PQ is the surface from which light emerges out. So now this will be the angle of prism. So you have to remember that what is angle of prism? It is the angle between the surface on which light incident and the surface from which light emerged out. Clear? Okay. Okay, so next we are going to discuss how refraction takes place through a prism. Refraction through a prism. So let's consider a equilateral triangular prism. Okay, let it P, Q, R. Clear? And this is the angle of prism as this is equilateral triangular prism. So each angle will be 60 degrees. So this is the angle of prism A. Light is incident along this direction. Let this be the normal at point of incidence. Let after refraction let mu L or mu P be the refractive index of the prism and mu S be the refractive index of the surrounding medium. Clear? So here mu prism is greater than mu of surrounding. So light travels from rarer to denser medium. So after refraction it will bend towards the normal. Let this is the normal. So it will goes like this. Again at this place, this is the normal. India's M. So after refraction, as light now travels for the surface PR from denser to rarer medium, it will bend away from the normal, so it will goes like this. Clear? So let the path of the normal be. Incident ray will first starts from along this direction X. Let this is be Y, then this will be Z, and this will be T. Clear? This is the path of the XY be the incident ray and ZT be the emergent ray. Clear? So as the light incident at this point, so this angle will be the incidence angle I, and for this normal this angle will be the refracting angle R1, and for this let this will be the incident angle R2 and this will be the emergent angle E. Clear? So the initial path of the incident ray is along this direction, but after emerging ray the path will deviated by this. So this will be the angle of deviation. Let it be S. So S at this point let be T. STZ. This is STZ. This angle is known as angle of deviation. Clear? So here we can write, first applying the Snell's law for the surface P and Q, we can write mu S sin I will be equal to mu P sin R1, because R1 is the refracting angle at the first refracting surface PQ. Let it be equation 1. Clear? Next we can apply the Snell's law for the surface PR, where R2 is the incident angle, so we can write mu P sin R2 will be equal to how much? Mu S sin E, equation 2. Clear? So here if we incident the ray at an angle I, it will emerge out at an angle E, which is known as emergent angle. Similarly, if we incident the ray along this path at an angle E, it will enter the surface by an angle R2 and emerge out by an angle I. So if I is the incidence angle, E will be the emerging angle, and if E will be the incidence angle, then I will be the emerging angle, because light can retrace its path. We already studied about the principle of reversibility. Light can be reversible along the same path. Clear? Here is the I incidence angle, so E is the emerging angle. But if we, in another case, if this is a prism and here I am incidenting the ray at an angle E, so it will enter to an angle R2, and here it will strike at an angle R1 and comes out at an angle I. This is also happen because this is known as a principle of reversibility. So if I is the incidence angle, E will be the emerging angle. If E will be the incidence angle, I will be the emerging angle. Clear? So at this case, light travels from mu s medium to mu p medium. This is rarer, this is denser. So for the PQ refracting surface, I can write the Snell's law like this, and for the PR refracting surface, I can write the Snell's law like this. Okay. So here I can write the angle A in the quadrilateral P Y M Z. Just imagine this is the quadrilateral P Y M Z. Look at this quadrilateral. This angle is A. As this is the normal, so this complete angle will be 90 and this complete angle will be 90, because these two are normal. So in a quadrilateral P Y M Z quadrilateral, we have P angle plus M angle plus X angle plus Z angle equal to how much? 360 degree. Clear? But Y and Z both are 90-90, so angle Y equal to angle Z equal to how much? 90 degree, because these N dash M and NM are perpendicular or normal to the surface PQ and PR. So this implies you will get at angle P plus angle M equal to how much? 180, because these two are already 90-90, so 90 plus 90 equal to 180, 360 minus 180 will be 180. So P plus M will be equal to how much? 180. Again, P equal to how much? Angle of prism A. So this implies you can write angle of prism A plus angle M equal to 180 degree. Clear? So remember this relation. Let it be equation 3. Okay. Again, now in the triangle MXZ. Okay. Now in the triangle MYZ, this triangle. Okay, this angle is R2, this angle is R1, and this is M. Okay, so now we can write now in the triangle MYZ, angle M plus MYZ angle plus MZY angle equal to how much? 180. So this implies you can write angle M plus what is MYZ angle is R1 plus what is MZY angle is R2 equal to 180. Clear? Let it be equation 4. Okay, so from 3 and 4 we will get what? Angle A plus M equal to angle M plus R1 plus R2 equal to 180. So this implies you will get what? A equal to R1 plus R2. Clear? Let it be equation 5. Okay, so angle of prism A equal to R1 plus R2. Clear? Now we can write here what is angle of deviation? This angle, the angle of deviation in the triangle TYZ, in this triangle. This is the exterior angle and these two are the interior angle. So now in triangle TYZ, angle delta or angle of deviation STZ will be equal to how much? TYZ plus TZY, delta equal to TYZ plus TZY angle. Clear? So TYZ is how much? This complete angle is I, so this complete angle will be I, but this much angle will be R1. So TYZ angle equal to how much? I minus R1, because this total angle is I, because these are opposite angle, but this much angle is known as what? R1. So this small angle will be how much? I minus R1. Similarly, this complete angle is E, but this much angle is R2. So this angle will be E minus R2. So this is TYZ. Similarly, TZY angle will be how much? E minus R2. Clear? So this implies the deviation angle delta will be equal to I minus R1 plus E minus R2, which can be written as the deviation angle delta equal to I plus E minus R1 plus R2, or this implies you can write angle of deviation delta equal to I plus E minus A, because you already know A equal to R1 plus R2. Clear? Let it be equation 6. Okay, so now this is the expression for angle of deviation when I plus E minus A. What is I? Incidence angle, E equal to emergent angle, and A equal to angle of prism will give us the angle of deviation. Okay, so next, how to find out the angle of deviation? What is the value of angle of deviation? So you already have, this is the relation from Snell's law for the two refracting surface, and this is the relation between angle of deviation. So I am here writing all the relations, that is here A equal to how much? R1 plus R2, okay, and delta equal to I plus E minus A. Okay, so these are the two relations we get. Okay, so these are the two relations, A equal to R1 plus R2 and delta equal to I plus E minus A. So for minimum deviation, you have to remember that for minimum deviation, that is delta tends to delta minimum, what are the condition? I equal to E, so this implies R1 equal to R2. So this is the condition for minimum deviation. So the deviation angle delta will be minimum only when I equal to E, that is angle of incidence equal to angle of emergence, and as this implies if I equal to E, so automatically R1 equal to R2, so we will get A equal to 2R1 and I equal to E, so we will get delta minimum equal to how much? I plus E minus A, so this can be 2I minus A equal to delta minimum. Clear? Because I equal to E, so 2I minus A equal to delta minimum. Okay, you have to remember this condition, that when I equal to E, we will get the deviation will be minimum, and at that instant R equal to R1 equal to R2, so A equal to how much? So this implies you will get A equal to 2R1 or 2R2 for the first surface. So this implies R1 equal to how much? A by 2. Clear? So the refractive index of the prism will be how much? So we can write by applying here in equation 1, we will get mu S sin I equal to mu P sin R1. What is R1? R1 equal to A by 2. So this implies we will get out I equal to how much? Here we will get I equal to how much? A plus delta minimum by 2. This is the value of angle of incidence because of delta minimum equal to 2i minus a. So angle of incidence equal to a plus delta minimum by 2. So this implies you get mu of surrounding into sine I equal to how much? A plus delta minimum divided by 2 equal to refractive index of the prism into sine a by 2. Clear? So this implies we will get what? Refractive index of the prism with respect to refractive index of the surrounding equal to how much? Sine a plus delta minimum by 2 divided by sine a by 2. Clear? So this is the refractive index of the prism with respect to the surrounding, sine a plus delta minimum by 2 divided by sine a by 2. If the surrounding is AR medium, it will become 1. So the refractive index on the prism will be sine a plus delta minimum by 2 divided by sine a by 2. You have to remember this relation. Clear? This is the condition when the angle of deviation will be minimum, that is angle of incidence equal to angle of emergent, and at that particular case R1 will become equal to R2. So this is the value of angle of incidence and this is the value of angle of refraction R1 or R2. You can write both as A by 2 because A equal to R1 plus R2. Clear? And this is the relation between the refractive index of the prism and the angle of minimum deviation and angle of prism. Okay. So what will be the graph? So basically the graph of angle of deviation and angle of incidence will be, so you have to remember this relation. So the graph for angle of deviation and angle of incidence is, so here we already get the relation that the angle of refractive index of the prism with respect to the surrounding equal to sine a plus delta minimum divided by 2 divided by sine a by 2, and the graph of the deviation with respect to angle of incidence. Here is the deviation, here is the angle of incidence, will be like this. Okay, it is more inclined towards the right. It's not symmetrical. It's look like this, and it's not a parabola or asymptote. The graph will be like this, and this is the value of delta minimum, and this is where I equal to E. Clear? Okay, it's a very important graph. You have to remember this. This graph is not symmetrical. It's more inclined towards the right. Clear? And at I equal to E, when angle of incidence equal to angle of emergence, we will get the minimum deviation. And for any angle of incidence, there is two values of deviation. Okay, if I am drawing, the angle of deviation will be 2 times. One is for the value of I and another one is for the value of E, because you already discussed that if I is the incidence angle, E will be the emergent angle, then what will be the angle of deviation? That will be same when E will be the incidence angle, I will be the emergent angle. Clear? So when a light is incident at an angle I, we will get this delta value of deviation. Similarly, when we incidence the ray with that angle of emergence, we will get the same delta value of deviation. Clear? When this is the angle of incidence, this is the angle of emergence. Similarly, when this will be the angle of incidence, this will become the angle of emergence. So for I, the same delta will obtain when E will be the angle of incidence. But when I and E will become equal with each other, the deviation will be minimum. Clear? So for I and E, the deviation is same, but when I is equal to E, the deviation is minimum. So when the deviation will be maximum, you have to remember this, the deviation is maximum only when angle I or angle E is equal to 90 degree. Clear? You have to remember this, that when the angle of emergence is equal to 90 degree or angle of incidence equal to 90 degree, then we will get maximum deviation. Okay, and when I equal to E, we will get minimum deviation. And in general, we have two same values of the deviation, one for E and one for I. Clear? So this is the graph and it is more inclined towards the right. Clear? Okay. So now as okay, you already understand what is the value of minimum deviation, what is the value of maximum deviation when the condition satisfied for minimum deviation, and what is the condition for maximum deviation, and what is the value of refractive index of the prism in terms of minimum deviation. Clear? So in case of a prism, this is the prism. If this ray is incident along this direction, this is the normal, this will be I, this angle is R1, this is the normal, this is the angle of emergence E, and this angle will be R2. So you already, and if this angle is angle of prism, so you know A equal to R1 plus R2 in general, and A plus angle of deviation, this, let this be D, or this can be denoted by delta, so let it be delta, equal to how much? I plus E. Okay, these are the conditions you have to remember. And what is the minimum deviation? Delta minimum, I equal to E. Only when I equal to E, this implies R1 equal to R2, so this implies A equal to 2R1 or 2R2. Clear? And the refractive index of the prism with respect to the surrounding will be sin A plus delta minimum divided by sin A by 2. Clear? These are the relations you have to remember for the refraction through prism. But in case of prism, okay, if light is incident along this direction, so for I, this will be R1. So at this surface PQ, the light goes from rarer medium to denser medium. Clear? So there will be no issue. But when the light travels at this edge PR, it travels from denser medium to rarer medium. Clear? So there may be a chance at the refraction during the PR surface when light travels from the prism medium to the surrounding medium. There may be a chance for getting total internal refraction, because when light travels from denser to rarer medium, there is a chance of total internal reflection. So what is the condition? That the light will never comes out, or the light will always trapped inside the prism. Okay, so what the condition? That this light will never emerge out, it will always trapped within the prism. So as here the angle of incidence is R2. So if the angle of incidence, we already know for total internal reflection, the angle of incidence must be greater than what? The critical angle. And when light travels from denser to rarer medium. Okay, so if here the minimum value of R2 is more than the critical angle, then the light will never comes out. So here we can write, for light remain always within the prism, so here we can write, for no emergent of light, if there will be no emergence of the light, it will always remain within the prism. That means the R2 minimum minimum value of R2 must be greater than what? The critical angle theta C. Clear? So this implies what is R2 minimum? We know A equal to how much? R1 plus R2. So this implies R2 equal to how much? A minus R1. So R2 minimum means we can write A minus R1 minimum must be greater than theta C. So when A minus R1 will be minimum, A minus R1 will be minimum when R1 tends to R1 maximum, because A minus R1 maximum will give us the R1 minimum. So when R1 will be maximum? When I is maximum. Clear? So what is the value of I? I tends to I max equal to how much? Pi by 2. When angle of incidence will be maximum, when the value of angle of incidence is pi by 2, it will be maximum. So when the angle of incidence is pi by 2, what is the value of R1? R1 is equal to theta C. If I am incident and ray from denser to rarer medium at an angle of critical angle, what is the angle of refraction? Will be 90. During the reverse process, when angle of incidence is 90, what is the value of angle of refraction? It will be the critical angle, because when light travels from denser to rarer medium, if the angle is critical angle, incidence angle equal to critical angle, the refracted angle will be 90. Similarly, when light travels from rarer to denser medium, if the incidence angle will be 90, what will be the refracted angle? It will be equal to the critical angle. So here the I max is pi by 2. So what is the value of R1 max? It will be theta C. Then we will get the condition for no emergence of light will be what? So from this we will get the condition, that is A minus R1 minimum. What is A minus R1 minimum? That means R1 maximum is equal to theta C. So A minus R1 maximum, what is R1 maximum? That is theta C will be greater than theta C. This is the condition. There will be no emergence. So this implies A must be greater than 2 theta C. This is the condition for which there will be no emergence of light ray occurs. When the angle of prism is greater than the 2 times of the critical angle for this prism and surrounding surface, then there will be no emergence of the light rays. Clear? Similarly, when the light ray will always remain outside, it will never get total internal reflection at this surface. So for this, for the light ray always remain outside, the maximum value of R2 must be less than theta C. So for always remaining outside, you have to remember this condition. This is the condition when A is greater than 2 theta C, the light will always remain inside, there will be no emergence. And next, what will be the condition for which the light will always remain outside? There will be no chance of total internal reflection. So for always remain outside, for no TIR, total internal reflection at PR, R2 maximum is less than theta C. So we will get A minus R1 maximum must be less than theta C. So A minus R1 will be maximum only when R1 is minimum, because the total tone will be maximum only when R1 is minimum, because A is constant. So R1 is minimum, this implies I is minimum. So when I will be minimum, what is the value of I? I minimum equal to 0. So this implies R1 minimum is also equal to 0. So we will get A minus 0 is less than theta C, or this implies A is less than theta C. So if the angle of prism is less than the critical angle for the prism and surrounding surface, then the light will never get total internal reflection at this surface. It will always remain outside. And when A is greater than 2 theta C, the light will always remain inside. So what is the suitable condition for any prism? A must be greater than theta C and less than 2 theta C. So this is the condition for light may get total internal reflection or may emerge out. Clear? If A is less than theta C, it will always remain outside. If A is greater than 2 theta C, it is always remain inside. So this is the ideal condition for which general prisms are made up of. theta A greater than theta c and less than 2 theta c. Clear? Okay. So next, so this is all about prism, how deviation takes place, what is the maximum deviation, minimum deviation, how to find out the refractive index of the prism, what are the condition for no emergence and what are the condition for no total internal refraction. So next we are going to discuss about dispersion. So what is dispersion? The splitting of light. Into its constituent colors. Okay, the splitting of light into its constituent colors is known as dispersion. So we already know when light, white ray pass through a prism, it will split into 7 colors, that is Vibgyor. Clear? We already know that when light travels through a prism, it will split into different colors, that will be known as what? Vibgyor. 7 colors. Light is a visible region which varies from the 3000 Armstrong wavelength to 7600 Armstrong. And within this range we call the electromagnetic wave as visible region, and within this there the light rise from Vibgyor color lies within this: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet. The 7 colors. Red have maximum wavelength and minimum frequency. Violet has maximum frequency and minimum wavelength. Clear? Okay. So when a white ray is allowed to travel through a prism, it will split into different constituent colors. Like this. Okay, this is the original ray, this is angle I. It will split into different constituent colors. This will be the red one and this will be the violet one. Clear? So it was observed that the red have large angle of refraction in comparison to the violet, but the violet have large angle of deviation in comparison to the red, because it was observed that the same medium have different refractive index for different wavelength of light according to Cauchy's relation. So according to Cauchy's relation, the refractive index of a medium is depends upon this relation, where A, B, C are constant, lambda are the wavelength of the given light. Mu is the refractive index of the medium, which is equal to A plus B by lambda square plus C by lambda fourth and so on. This is the relation given by Cauchy's, according to which a same medium have different refractive index for different wavelength of light. Clear? So when a white light incidents on a prism, it splits into its constituent 7 colors. This process or phenomena is known as dispersion of light, and as the medium of the prism shows different refractive indices for different wavelength of light, so accordingly they get different types of angle of deviation and different types of angle of refraction. Clear? So as you have to remember here, as wavelength increases, refractive index decreases. So you have to remember this: as wavelength increase, refractive index decrease. So angle of refraction will increase, angle of deviation will decrease, focal length will increase, power will decrease, then critical angle will increase because sin theta is equal to 1 by mu, mu decrease, so critical angle increase, then velocity increase. Okay, so we have to remember this relation. When wavelength increase, refractive index decrease, angle of refraction increase, angle of deviation decrease, focal length increase, power decrease, critical angle increase, velocity increase. Clear? So as wavelength of red is greater than wavelength of violet, we already know here. So if wavelength of red is greater than wavelength of violet, so mu, if wavelength increase, mu decrease, so mu of red will be less than mu of violet, because wavelength of red is more, so refractive index of red will be less. Wavelength of violet is less, so refractive index will be more. So if refractive index of red is more than violet, so angle of refraction of red, wavelength is more, so angle of refraction of red, so R for red will be more in comparison to R for violet. So this is the angle for the red light, it will have more angle of refraction. This is the normal. So the angle of refraction is more for red, angle of refraction is less, this much only for violet. So as angle of refraction increases, deviation decrease, so delta for red is less than delta for violet. So this is the deviation angle, delta for red, and this much will be the deviation for violet angle. Clear? Again, when the light rays travel through a prism, the focal length or the converging or the power, critical angle and velocity changes accordingly. So you have to remember this relation, as all these varies with respect to the wavelength. Which have wavelength more, it's a less refractive index for the given medium, so accordingly they are changes. You have to remember this relation. Wavelength of red is more, so refractive index of red for a given medium is less than that of violet. Angle of refraction will be more than that of violet, and angle of deviation is less than that of violet. And this is the relation between all the variables, how it is related with the wavelength. Clear? So next we will study what is angular dispersion. So as we already studied that if here is a prism and a white light ray is incident at this place, after refraction through the prism it will deviate along different directions. This should be the red ray, this should be the violet ray. So the angle of deviation for red will be this much, and for violet will be this much. So angular dispersion denoted by theta is defined as the difference between the angle of deviation of violet ray and angle of deviation of red ray. Clear? This is theta, which can be denoted by delta V minus delta R. Okay, then this dispersive power denoted by omega. So it is defined as ratio of angular dispersion with respect to mean deviation. Okay, you have to remember this with respect to angular dispersion, with respect to mean deviation. This is not minimum deviation, it is mean deviation. So we can write the dispersive power omega equal to angular dispersion theta divided by delta mean. So this implies you can write what is delta theta equal to delta V minus delta R divided by delta mean. Generally the minimum deviation is for the yellow light, or if it's not mentioned you can take it for the yellow light. Otherwise delta mean will be the average of delta red plus delta violet, or this can simply nearly equal to the deviation for yellow light. Clear? You have to remember this. Okay, clear? So this is the angular dispersion delta V minus delta R, and this is the dispersive power omega, which is equal to angular dispersion by mean deviation, or delta V minus delta R by delta Y, or if delta Y is the minimum mean deviation, or else we can take the average of delta R and delta V. Okay, so next there is a concept I forgot to tell about it, that what will happen if the prism have a very small angle of prism, or for thin prism. Okay, so conditions for thin prism. So thin prism. So if this is a prism which is very thin, that means the angle of prism is very small. This is the angle of prism, A is small. So incident ray travel along this direction. This is the normal, it will goes like this. This is the normal, it will comes like this. So for thin prism, you have to remember A, I, R1, R2, E, all are small. Let this is the refractive index of the prism, refractive index of the surrounding. So let it be P, Q, R. So applying Snell's law at the first, this is angle I, this is R1, this angle will be R2, and this is E. So for the first surface you can write mu S sin I equal to mu P sin R1. Similarly for the second surface PR, I can write mu P sin R2 equal to mu S sin E equation 2. As all these angles are very small, so I can write mu Si equal to mu P R1 and mu P R2 equal to mu Se, equation 3 and 4. Clear? So what is the value of deviation? If this is the angle of delta, so we know delta equal to I plus E minus A. So this implies you can write delta equal to, in place of I can write how much? Mu P by mu S minus R1, mu P by mu S into R1, plus in place of E I can write mu P by mu S into R2 minus A. So this implies delta is equal to how much? Mu P by mu S into R1 plus R2 minus A. Sorry. Okay, like this. Mu P by mu S into R1 plus R2 minus A. So this can be how much? Mu of prism by mu of surrounding into R1 plus R2 is how much? We already know R1 plus R2 equal to A minus A equal to delta. So as all the angles are small, so delta is also small, or it will be minimum. So from this we will get the value of delta minimum. So this implies delta minimum equal to how much? A into mu P of prism divided mu of surrounding minus 1. So this is the expression for delta minimum where the prism is thin. Clear? You have to remember this relation. If it will be AR medium, the surrounding is AR medium, so it will become 1. So delta minimum will be how much? Mu minus 1 into A. Clear? So this is the condition for delta minimum when the prism is thin. Clear? So next, okay, you have to remember this relation delta minimum equal to A into mu of prism by mu of surrounding minus 1 will gives us the delta minimum for thin prism condition. Okay, so by using this formula I can write theta equal to how much? Delta V minus delta R. So for thin prism condition you can write delta V equal to how much? Mu for violet minus 1 into A minus mu for red minus 1 into A. So this will gives us mu V minus mu R is also equal to how much? Theta. mu v into minus a minus mu r into minus minus plus a will get cancelled, so this is mu v minus mu r. This is the condition for angular dispersion in terms of refractive index for violet and red. Similarly, what is omega? Omega equal to delta v minus delta r by delta y, so this similarly equal to mu v minus mu r divided by mu y minus 1. Okay, or this can mu v minus mu r, so it will be how much? Mu v minus 1 into a minus mu r minus 1 into a divided by mu y minus 1 into a, so a will get cancelled, so this will become as mu v minus 1 minus mu r plus 1 divided by mu y minus 1, so minus plus 1 get cancelled, it will be mu v minus mu r by mu y minus 1. This is also represent what? Power of dispersion. So from this relation we will get what? The power of dispersion is the property of the medium. Okay, it is not depends upon the prism because it is independent of angle of prism. Here there is no angle of prism, only the refractive index of the substances. So the power, dispersive power, depends upon the property of the medium on which the prism is made up of. Clear? Okay, so this is how a thin prism can behave, for which this is the expression for minimum deviation, and this is the expression for angular dispersion, and this is the expression for dispersive power. So what is dispersion, what is dispersive power, what is angular dispersion, what is the condition for minimum deviation in case of thin prism and normal prism we already studied. Okay, so this is about the dispersion, dispersive power and angular dispersion, and the deviation in case of prism and how refraction takes place through a prism. Okay.